Hey guys, Braden here at SuperATV. Today we're going to be installing the SuperATV pin locker on the Can-Am Maverick X3. When you hit the slop, your four-wheel drive needs to be responsive. One of the problems with the stock Visco-Lok differential in the Can-Am Maverick X3 is that it isn't a true on-demand system. Whenever your tires start to spin, it can take up to one full rotation for your clutch pack to lock your diff. This means lost momentum and possible slippage. SuperATV's Pin Locker Differential closes the gap between the Visco-Lok and Can-Am's newer Smart Lock differential. An easy install can give you total control of your front diff's locking action. A rocker switch allows you to easily lock your front differential, anticipate obstacles, maintain your momentum as you bounce through the trail. Our Pin Locker Differential replaces the Visco-Lok part of your diff, so you don't have to change any gears and you can reuse half of the original housing. Let's get started. Remove the driver's side wheel and tire. Remove the two bolts holding the brake caliper on. Remove cotter pin, axle nut, and washer, then remove the hub from the spindle. Remove the tie rod from the spindle. Remove your lower spindle bolt and drop the lower A-arm. Sometimes a pry bar is needed. Remove your upper ball joint bolt. Knock your spindle from the ball joint and remove the spindle. Remove your lower shock bolt and hang your shock up out of the way. Remove your brake line from the A-arm and place your caliper up out of the way. Disconnect your sway bar link. Remove the axle by giving a couple swift pulls. Remove both upper A-arm mounting bolts and remove the A-arm. Now, repeat the same process on the other side, but don't remove your A-arms. Remove the drain plug from your differential and let the oil drain. Remove the bolt holding your drive shaft to your differential. Remove the 4 bolts that secure the differential to the frame. Slide the differential forward and remove your drive shaft from the differential. Now remove your differential from the machine. Alright, so now that we got the differential out of the machine, let's go over the components you're going to receive whenever you receive the box from SuperATV. We got our billet, pin locker lid, rocker switch, wiring harness, 4-wheel drive actuator, shim kit, hardware kit, ring gear plate, spline plate, and spline tub. Mostly for this install you're going to be using basic hand tools, but you are going to be required to set the backlash, so we do recommend you use a dial indicator. If you've never used a dial indicator before or don't already own one, we recommend you take it to a dealership to have the install done. let's get started.
Alright, so first thing we're going to do is remove the lid, grab our 12mm socket and get the bolts out. Sometimes these things are stuck, so you got to take a screwdriver and kind of wiggle it around, work the cover up. Second thing we're going to do is remove our shim. Lay that aside. Now we're going to flip the other half of the differential over. Just give it a good little hit. Pull the ring gear out. Slide the other side of the cover to the side. And we'll remove all these bolts. Using our 13mm socket. Whenever you're doing this, leave the last bolt in there, otherwise your ring gear is going to fall. Sometimes they're a little bit difficult to get lined back up. I'm going to use a 4mm to get these screws out of here. Alright, now that you remove this, get all your bolts out of the way. We're going to go ahead and start removing the clutches out of here. You need a screwdriver, that's what we use, works great. Just kind of work it down in there and they all should pop right up. Just take all this, lay it aside, you won't be using any of this. Alright, so now let's go ahead and install our spline plate. Drops right down in there. Now our spline hub. Something that's very important is you got to line up the countersunk screw holes. As you can see here, these are going to be tapped, the rest are going to be all the way through. Just going to line up in that hole right there. Alright, now that you got it all lined up, let's go ahead and open up our hardware kit. Get the hardware we need. Alright, so now that you have your ring gear plate on there, let's go ahead and start one screw in there just to hold the actual ring gear up on there. Alright, now that you got one screw started, go ahead and get your Loctite opened up. We'll go ahead and apply a decent amount of Loctite to every screw before we install it. Alright, so now we're going to grab our 5mm Allen, 3/8 ratchet, and go ahead and run these bolts up a little bit. Whenever you're tightening these, you want to tighten across from each other. You don't just want to go in a circle. This is going to evenly pull that ring gear up. Alright, now that you have all those ran up, let's go ahead and grab our countersunk screws, put these in here. We'll apply just a tad of Loctite to these as well. Alright, now we're going to grab our T-handle, 4mm, run this up. Go ahead and tighten these down as tight as you can get them with the T-handle. Just be aware that this does have a small thread on it, so you can't break them off. Alright, now that we have these two tight, let's go back through and double check all these, make sure they're tight enough. Alright, so now we got these bolts tightened. Let's flip this over and we'll talk a little bit about the shims on the spider gears. We sent steel shims with ours. Some machines come with plastic shims. This one in particular came with steel shims. We're going to go ahead and show you how to change them. First thing you're going to do is remove this snap ring here off one side of the pin. Once you remove the pin, you're going to want to grab a hold of this top spider gear here and spin it. As you're spinning it, you want to be sure that you grab a hold of the gears as they come to the front and rear. As you're holding them, reach up here inside of this pocket and you'll feel the shim. Go ahead and pull the factory shim out. Alright, so we got our factory shims removed. Now we're going to go ahead and put our shims in. Sometimes it's easier if you take a little bit out of your differential, wipe it on there, just makes it stick a little bit better. Sometimes you have to take a screwdriver and kind of line them up, hold them in place. Alright, so we got that one started. Let's go ahead and do the other side. So once you got your shims in there, just want to continue spinning the upper ring gear, the upper spider gear there, and then ensuring that the shims are lined up with the holes on the spider gears. Alright, so once you got them lined up, go ahead and take your pin, slide it in through the hole. Sometimes you'll kind of have to work those shims around just to get the pin through. Alright, put the snap ring. Whenever you put the snap ring on, so it's a good idea to make sure that the pin is fully seated in there. And then ensure that your snap ring is all the way on there as well. Alright, now we'll go ahead and reinstall this into the differential. Alright, so now that you got this done in here, make sure it's fully seated. You should be able to grab a hold of it, make sure that the shaft's spinning. Grab a hold of the shaft, make sure it spins. Then we're going to grab our lid, remove this out of here for now while we're checking the backlash. We'll start with the factory shim, and then if we need to add shims or take away shims, we'll go ahead and do that. So we'll reinstall the cover. It's fully seated. While we're checking backlash, we're only going to use a few screws just to hold the lid on there. You don't have to get them super tight, just tight enough to hold the lid down. Alright, now that we got that on there, we're going to want to flip the whole differential over where it's sitting flat. We're hanging ours off of the table. Alright, now we're going to want to grab our backlash tool. Whenever you're installing the backlash tool, ensure that the set screw is going into the groove, not getting on your splines. Start it on. Doesn't need to be too tight, just tight enough to stay on there. And you want to ensure that this is centered. There's a line on your differential, you could reference off that, as long as it's flat. That's all we're really looking to do. Now you're going to want to grab your dial indicator. Ensure that the tip of your dial indicator is in the center of that divot. Ensure that we're getting an accurate reading. So the specs we are going to be looking for are between 4 thousandths and 10 thousandths. Anything above or below that, you're going to need to add a shim or take away a shim. The way we found best to check this is you can take a flathead screwdriver, anything that's going to be able to lock the gear down, that way it's not actually spinning. We're going to find out where we're starting at here. Looks like we're at 7, so we're going to go ahead and pull it down so it touches. Okay, back the opposite way. Alright, so it looks like we're at 12 thousandths here. That's going to be out of spec, so what we're going to do is get our dial indicator off of here, flip the differential back over, take the cover off, and we'll add a shim. We found the easiest way to get the lid off is you can just kind of clock it a little bit. That way you can stick your fingers on here, get your thumbs on the actual differential, wiggle it, just come right off. Your shim most of the time will get stuck on your actual lid instead of being where you placed it whenever you started checking your backlash. So we're going to leave this one, the factory shim, and we're going to go ahead and add one of the shims that are included with the kit. Now we're going to reinstall the lid. Okay, so essentially the reason that we're going to be adding a shim is we were out of spec. What we're going to do is we're going to add one of the shims that are included with the kit. Check the backlash again to ensure that we are in the 4 thousandths to 10 thousandths range. Alright, so as you've seen, we added a shim. We were over spec, so adding a shim is going to get our number down. If you were under, you're going to take away. So let's go ahead and hook the dial indicator up here and see what we got it down to. Again, we're going to work it back and forth until it stops. Alright, so it looks like we're at 7 thousandths. That's going to be spot on. That's perfect. Anything in between that 0.04 thousandths, 9 thousandths is going to be good. Anything over, you're going to have to adjust your shimming until you can get it within that spec range. Now what we're going to do is flip it back over, remove the lid. Again, clock it a little bit, fingers, thumbs on the actual differential. Should pop right off there. This time our shim stayed on here, just ensure that they're still on there. We're going to want to go ahead and remove them. We're going to lay them right on the bearing, on the center of the bearing, on our lid. I'm going to go back and reinstall this. All you have to do is push up on the bottom of this where the actuator goes here. The spring is going to lift that up. Slide it right in the groove. It'll just seat right down in there. You'll feel it. Alright, now we're going to set this aside for just 1 second. We're going to go ahead and remove this as well. The ring gear assembly. Easiest way to do that, stick your finger right here in the splines, and grab a hold of it with your right hand, and just kind of beat it down. ensuring that you're holding onto the ring gear assembly. You don't want to drop it. If you drop it, you could chip a tooth. That's going to cause significant damage to your differential components. Alright, so we'll lay that out of the way. Now this is where the springs are going to come into play. Alright, so on our lid here, we have little indentions. You're going to go ahead and sit all 4 of your springs down in there, in each indention. We found it's easiest if you can get it flat, the lid flat, and then what we do is we're going to flip this over and set it on there, ring gear assembly onto the lid. Each spring is going to have its own hole. This is where the pins are actually going to go in, and the deeper holes, the shallower holes, is going to be where the springs go. Alright, so after you have that sat down on there, it's always a good idea to take a little pick, go through, ensure that all of these springs are seated properly. Sometimes they'll get a little crooked in there. You don't want that. You want to ensure that they're seated properly. Ensure that your pin lock is going to work. Alright, so now we checked all those. All the springs are good. We're going to take the other side of the differential. We're going to line the 2 closest holes up with the 2 closest on the lid. Lay it right down on there. Give it a few wiggles. Good to go. Make sure you're holding it together when you flip it over. You don't want your lid to separate. Alright, now we're going to reinstall all of the cover bolts. It's okay to use an impact to run them down. Just make sure you're not tightening with an impact. You want to go back and check them all with a ratchet. Alright, now we're going to grab our ratchet. Alright, all the lid bolts are installed and tight. Let's get back over to the machine.
Place the differential back into the machine and slide your drive shaft on. Install your 4 bolts securing the differential and tighten. Reinstall your drain plug. Reinstall your bolts securing your drive shaft to the differential and tighten. Install vent tube to differential and secure with a zip tie. Grab your provided actuator from SuperATV and install it into the differential and tighten. Remove your passenger side seat. Remove your interior panels to gain access to the power block. Run your provided wiring harness through the firewall and plug into the actuator. Pull the other end of the wiring harness back to the power block and connect the black wire to the ground post and the orange wire to the key-on post. Now, remove the plastic cover under the dash by removing 2 Torx bit screws and 2 push pins. Grab the wire that has a switch connection on it, locate where you want to put the switch on your dash, and run the wire out to that location and connect your switch and place into the holder. Now it's time to button your machine back up, reinstall the parts you have removed in the opposite order they were taken off, and enjoy your new locking differential on your Can-Am Maverick X3. That's all there is to it. Now you got an awesome on-demand differential locker on your UTV. Anticipate obstacles and lock your front differential in at the flip of a switch. No more lost momentum. Your Maverick X3 will thank you, and your buddies will be wondering why they can't keep up. Thanks for watching, guys. Be sure to call us at 855-743-3427 if you need any more help, and check out SuperATV.com for more awesome products and instructional videos.